Welcome to Creating the Good with AARP Illinois, a show with inspiring people who we hope will inspire you. And now, your hosts, Bob Gallo and Rosanna Marquez.
Hi, I'm Bob Gallo, State Director of AARP Illinois, and I'm here with my co-host, Rosanna Marquez, State President of AARP Illinois. We are excited to be here with you on our weekly radio show, Creating the Good with AARP Illinois. If you're hearing us for the first time, welcome. We're talking with some fascinating folks who are making a big difference in their local communities.
And speaking of folks who are making a big difference in their communities, today we're speaking with a wonderful woman who's the founder of a volunteer program that puts together care packages for members of the military.
Her name is Jacky Connelly, and her group is called Mrs. Jacky Soldiers, right here in the Chicago area. Next Monday, Jacky and her volunteers will be making cards for healthcare workers, the military, and their families. And you are all invited, no matter where you live. Also, this fun event that we promise you'll hear more about is hosted by AARP's own Create the Good project.
So before we speak with our special guest, Jacky Connelly, let's welcome Carol Ricks, Advisor in Service Engagement at AARP. Thank you, Carol, for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
Listeners may have noticed that the names Creating the Good and Create the Good sound alike, and that's no coincidence. We started this weekly radio show to feature inspiring stories of those who are making a difference in their communities, and it's closely tied to AARP's national model for doing so called Create the Good. Carol, tell us about Create the Good. What is it and how can folks get involved?
Thank you, Rosanna. So Create the Good is a resource where people can find volunteer opportunities that interest them. So it started off really as a website, createthegood.org, and then it has blossomed into a lot of different resources and opportunities, not just for volunteers, but also for organizations. So as we also provide resources for people to find ways to give back in their communities, and of course, during this pandemic, virtually, we also have resources for organizations to recruit volunteers so they can use the website to find the right volunteer for them. And the awesome thing about it is it's completely free.
That's great. That's great. And we understand you have a very special event coming up for people who are looking for a way to volunteer from home.
Yeah.
It's happening this Monday, September 21st, on the Create the Good Facebook page. What's special about that day, other than it's my wedding anniversary? Tell us what you're doing and how listeners and viewers can attend right from home.
So September 21st is actually AARP founder Ethel Percy Andrus's birthday. It's our 136th birthday, to be exact. And so we wanted to honor her by giving volunteers an opportunity to give back regardless of where you are. So this is a completely virtual event. And so what we are asking people to do is come together with us, Create the Good, and AARP state offices from across the country to create cards for veterans, military families, and healthcare workers at VA medical centers across the country. So we have partnered with Veteran Affairs, Voluntary Service to make sure those cards are received by, again, the veterans, military families, nurses, doctors, and all of those that have either done service when they've been active duty or are serving now, especially during this pandemic.
That's fantastic, Carol, and thank you so much for that. And this is a perfect time to bring on our special guest, Jacky Connelly, founder of the group Mrs. Jacky's Army. Jacky, we were just talking with Carol about this event next week where you'll be teaching folks all across the country to make cards with inspirational and supportive messages for veterans, military families, work at centers nationwide. Through your volunteer organization, Mrs. Jacky's Soldiers, you've been putting together packages for soldiers for a long time. Can you tell us how you got started doing this work?
I would love to, and thank you so much for inviting me today.
So
I've
welcome.
worked part-time for the Park District in a number of classes, but the majority were taught programs. And in 2003, I had a grandmother bringing a little boy to an adult and child class. And we had said, parents who work locally, we have special event days, are welcome to join us for a little luau or for a special little bunny event. And she said, well, that's going to be pretty hard because my daughter's headed for Iraq. And this little boy's mom went out in the first wave. And then as class progressed, she'd say, could I have, if you have an extra craft project, I noticed a couple kids were absent today, could we make an extra one? I've been mailing a letter or a craft project every day. Like we'll outline the little boy's hand and put it in the post to her. And this just went right to my heart. Because I'm the daughter of a Sergeant Army dad from World War II, although he didn't speak about it for many years. And my mom always said how she mailed him letters every day and how my dad did stress the importance of getting that mail, getting that little card from home, from the USA, that little note. And it just rang true to my heart. So, I thought we could do more than that. We could do more than help this little boy make an extra craft project. I put out a very small little Easter basket and I asked people to donate, gum, granola bars. They had books, CDs, things that we could mail to them, mail to the soldier. And I thought we would get enough to fill one box. And we wound up with about 7 large computer paper boxes filled with items, which just blew me away. And I thought, I went to present it to the grandmother and she just cried and said she was overwhelmed. So I said, I'll mail it out a little bit every week. And it lasted for several months. And people kept bringing items in. One thing led to another. Soon, one of my son's fellow Boy Scouts that had gone before him was a soldier in Afghanistan. All of a sudden down the hall, another little preschool teacher's nephew was overseas in Iraq. And all of a sudden we evolved into a little packing group. And after doing it a year on my own, I had to reach out and get help because I just couldn't do it alone anymore. And one thing led to another. We're getting close to around 6,500 boxes sent. And we mail, originally we mailed every week. Now we mail every other week. And our list is around 180 soldiers because unlike past wars, you have to have a name and an address currently to mail boxes to the soldiers. And it used to be in the past, you could just take a box and write for a soldier and drop it off. And today you have to have a specific soldier to mail it to. And our group, I have like a core group that is still working from home under the COVID with drive up, drop off in my driveway and at the Park District where we used to pack twice a month, but with COVID, we're just not able to.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So we share something in common. My dad was a sergeant in the Army too during World War II.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Red Diamond Division?
Yeah. So how has Mrs. Jacky's soldiers grown over the years?
Well, it started where I said I would just do it alone. And then people had, I had a bulletin board in the hallway with the information and people started dropping things off or contacting me and saying, if you ever expand, let me know, I'll come by to help. We had Girl Scout troops who were looking to help. Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, Eagle Scouts looking for an Eagle badge. Could we work with you? It's like, definitely, yes, definitely. One thing led to another. We never seemed to go looking for our soldiers. They seemed to find us. Like one was one of my students' grandmother's hairdresser's daughter. You just never know who it's going to be. I was in line at a dollar store getting items for Halloween one year, and I was really holding up the line with all my purchases of decorations for packing into the boxes. And there was a person about 4 people back, what's going on? And I said, thank you for your patience. This is all for our soldiers serving overseas. And the woman in front of him said, I wish someone would mail to my husband. And that's how I got her husband as one of my soldiers.
Fantastic.
So we evolved with people who had soldiers who would read about us in the Park District program book. And they would come in saying, I have a soldier. And then they'd stay and pack with us for several years or months, whichever worked for them. We've had people who just wanted to volunteer and came by and stayed and packed with us for a period of time. I've had 2 of my volunteers for all 16 out of the 17 years that I've had people beyond myself. The first year that I did this, on every box, I would draw a little character called Frida the Frog, which is what I would look like if I was a cartoon. And then I would draw that on one side of the address label, and on the other side of the address label, I would draw Kilroy was here. And that was a salute to my mom and my dad, because that's why I do what I do. And even though people might not know, it's kind of like a little inside thing. Every box goes out, I feel, with their blessing. And it just means a lot to me. And I've had soldiers who have written back or said, we knew it was your box. We saw the frog and Kilroy on it. They said before we even saw the return label, we knew it was from you. And over the years, I was able to work with like a print program and develop stickers, because there just wasn't enough time on 20, 30, 40, 50 boxes to be drawing these cartoons every time. So now we have a little sticker system. I've got a great group of core volunteers that have stayed on during COVID from their homes, packing out of their basements or doing a drive up to my driveway to pick up boxes, or meeting me at the Park District when donations have still been dropped off to help sort them out and get them to the right spots so we can get them into boxes and send them along the way. And this has just been a real blessing during these strange days. But it's hard to believe it's already been over 17 years that we're doing this. But like I said, I like to think it's a tribute to my mom and dad mailing letters and packages to each other back in World War II.
Yeah,
Indeed. Maybe some folks who don't know the Kilroy story and what that character looks like will have an opportunity to Google it as well. So, Rosanna?
Yeah, so that's such a lovely legacy for your parents. This is such an interesting conversation, but we have to take a short break here. You're listening to Creating the Good with AARP Illinois. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Today is your day to make a difference. AARP is here in Illinois working hard to make it an even better place to live, work, and play. You can help us too. Get involved as an AARP volunteer. Help advocate for the issues that matter in our state and community, which could improve the quality of life for yourself and the people around you. For more information on ways you can get involved in your local community, visit aarp.org/il.
And we're back. You're listening to Creating the Good with AARP Illinois. I'm Bob Gallo, State Director of AARP Illinois, and I'm here with my co-host, Rosanna Marquez, State President of AARP Illinois. We've been speaking with Jacky Connelly, founder of Mrs. Jacky's Soldiers, a group of volunteers that organizes care packages for active military. So, Jacky, let's continue with where we left off after the break. What's your favorite memory of running the program?
Getting some notes from the soldiers, encouraging words, what it means to them. It just touches your heart. Many of the soldiers don't have time to write us back, or they'll write us when they're coming back, so we will discontinue the boxes. And one soldier wrote, "It was not what we sent or what we put into the boxes. It was that the boxes came all the time." And they were getting a piece of home. And he said, to think that somebody would stop and take the time to care, and you don't even know us, and send us these boxes. It just meant the world. One of our first soldiers, the first 10 soldiers, was in Afghanistan. And we were informed to write letters to this young gentleman to encourage him, because he was getting pretty depressed and down. It was very hard over there at the time, and still is. But I sent him, I said, I could do more than a letter. I can mail a box. And so I did. And I had drawn my Kilroy and Frida all over the box with little cartoons. And he sent me back an email, and he wrote, I was just beginning to think that no one cared if I lived or died here. And then your box came.
Wow.
I was just like crying into my laptop keyboard. It just went straight to my heart.
Yeah, it makes me it makes me think of between when I was in World War II. You said your dad was an Army sergeant, and I said mine, and was as well. And what inspiration for this work in some part comes from your mom and dad as well. And I heard most of the stories I heard were from my mom and the experiences that she had while my parents weren't married at the time, but those that they were doing similar work for soldiers overseas. And now, fast forward to today's Army and military service with both men and women serving. I'd be curious to hear your inspiration and how that's changed over the years.
It seems that they still appreciate so very much anybody who reaches out to them and stops to take the time and care. I got a little note from one. Thank you for all the wonderful gifts that give soldiers a little piece of home here, which is what I had mentioned. The team has a lot of faith in you. I'll be coming back home soon, but everyone here wanted to say thank you for supporting it. We do what we can do over here so family and friends are safe back home. And even though, it's a long time since World War II, I do believe that feeling is still the same, that they want to keep us safe back home here in the USA. And I think it's just wonderful with our event on Monday that we can even thank all the veterans who have come back home and let them know that we still care. This is a huge piece that's so important. I've had the pleasure of going to a couple of weddings. We had some local soldiers who came home, and we were able to hear about them getting married. And we were able to stop by the church, a handful of my volunteers and I, and give them a card. And one of the things that touched me the most was the humbleness and gratitude. After the wedding, we went up to this young gentleman and his bride, said congratulations, gave him our little card that we'd all signed, and explained who we were. And there he was at the end of his wedding, thanking us for all that we had done to inspire him and keep up his morale and boost his spirits, just like my mom did for my dad, getting that mail from home, from the USA, letting him know other USA citizens care. And here's the soldier thanking. It's like, no, thank you. We're just here to celebrate this wonderful day and say thank you to you and let you know we care.
How about your dad? Do you recall him sharing anything about how he felt about receiving those letters from your mom?
He didn't talk about it for years. And after my mom passed in 2002, he went to receive back all his medals that had been lost over the years, because he had found out that he had won the Bronze Star in addition to the Purple Heart and 9 other medals. Wow. And so in 2003, he took my sister and I out for dinner. We all dressed up in red, white, and blue on Veterans Day in November. And after dinner, we went back to his house. And one by one, he laid out every medal that he had received and told the story. He let us audio tape it, and he wouldn't let us video. There were a lot of tears. There were a lot of, laughter and stories, things that you couldn't do today that you could do then, and things that we wish we had from today's army and military that, we didn't have anything like that back then. But he had been wounded and had shrapnel between his heart and his lung. And that's what eventually pulled him out after 3 years of service in Europe. And what saved him was the fact he didn't smoke. But unbeknownst to my mom had been mailing him cigarettes. And he kept saying, Millie, mail me more cigarettes. And it turned out he used the cigarettes like money to go out and get candy bars. Because he always said, get a lot of chocolate candy bars, always support your Hershey chocolate candy bars, because he says that's what got me through the war. And when he came home, it was a real shock, I think, to my mom to find out he was not a smoker, having mailed him tons and tons of cigarettes over the 3 years he was serving overseas. And why I tell you this story is because we went through a period of time where we were gifted with a couple 100 pounds of coffee. And we mailed them over. And when one of our soldiers came back that was local, because we do have soldiers from out of state, like someone will live here and they have a nephew and our son lives in Kentucky now, and we're sent over. Will we mail them because they don't live here? It's like, oh yes, we've never said no to a soldier that's serving in harm's way. But anyway, we got one of our boxes and it was all coffee, and it turned out he didn't drink coffee. So when he came back, it's like, what did you do with the 7 pounds of coffee in that one box? He says, I actually traded them for a Jeep part. He said, we needed a Jeep part and we couldn't afford it. And he goes, what if we barter for it? What do you need? And he goes, what do you have? He goes, we have 7 pounds of coffee. And we mailed him more than that eventually. But it just went right to my heart again, because it's what my mom and dad did. Millie Philwalk mailing cigarettes to Al Philwalk, was trading them for candy bars to live on. We mail coffee. Here's our soldier using the coffee to barter to get the part he needs to get his Jeep fixed. So some things haven't really changed.
Yeah. And I'll bet I know my father's and his generation would have called all that Yankee ingenuity.
Yep.
So Rosanna, over to you.
It was.
Yep, exactly. That is funny, and so brings to life, some of the stories of the soldiers you've worked with and your parents over the years. So what keeps you inspired and motivated to continue doing this work?
Usually it's just a little note of thanks, or sometimes the family writes the note. One soldier recently who got his first box from us in Afghanistan was so stunned that he didn't know who we were. And it was a friend of his father's who contacted us. So it wasn't like the father had directly contacted us, that he actually called home and told his dad, there's this Mrs. Jacky and her group, and they've mailed me this box of, granola bars and all these wonderful treats. And he was so grateful for that. And the dad actually asked the friend that was our connection for my address, and he wrote me a beautiful thank you letter. And when you get something like that, you just know it's something that needs to be going on until you're not able to do it. It just gives you that little inspiration forward that we're doing the right thing.
Yeah. So what advice do you have for folks who are nearing retirement, who want to contribute to their communities, but aren't sure where to start?
You can contact usually the VFW halls, the American Legion, contact the churches, see if there is a group from those organizations, or if they're aware of someone like myself that has their own little volunteer group that they can connect you to. And I have to say that in addition to my fantastic volunteers, and I have the best volunteers in the world, I have what I call my special forces. And people who don't pack, that might be, as you said, people looking to do something now, but they connect to another group. Like I have a wonderful woman, Elaine, who works through with the St. Gerald's Women's Club here in Oak Lawn. And they've been for years, doing an annual collection just for us. And She actually set up boxes in the church when it was available prior to COVID and would weekly drop off the donations for us. Some sister groups I have who, when I'm a little low on items, they'll help stock me or I'll help stock them depending on what's coming in. And it's wonderful when you have these extra people who go the extra mile. We had one gentleman who would just mail the boxes for us for several years until he wasn't able to. And it was great to know I had someone who would go to the post office. Currently, one of my volunteers, Carol, does that for us. And we're learning with the modern ways of making our labels online and getting boxes picked up. We actually have 4 kinds of boxes, and people who don't necessarily want to be packing a box but want to get involved. We have food boxes, soap boxes, holiday boxes, and media mail. Media mail boxes are great for the people who want to contribute, want to volunteer something, but don't really have the time or because we cannot meet to pack together. But a lot of us are going through our homes right now, and media mail consists of books, CDs, and DVDs. So music, movies, and books. And they go through items like that and they contact me and they'll arrange to drop it off at the park district or to contact me directly and drop it in my driveway. Or if they're local, I can pick it up too. They'll leave it on the front porch with a little note and I'll pick it up. So, or they could be making the cards to go into my boxes as well as the cards for the event coming up on Monday. So they can definitely get involved. Oh, yeah.
All right, so I'm guessing that some of our listeners today are inspired to write some of the cards that go into the care packages that you send to soldiers. So how can folks get their cards over to you?
They can contact me at an email address. It's mrsjsoldiers@gmail.com. So MRS, the letter J, soldiers, SOLDIERS, all one word, @gmail.com. And they can tell me, where they're at, how we can make an arrangement, drop off, pick up, whatever works. It'd be wonderful.
That's great.
Yeah, there you go, folks. And on that note, it's time for us to go. Jacky, what an honor it's been to speak with you. And thank you so much for being on the show and for sharing what I'm doing and helping to inspire others to help create the good as well.
Thank you so very much for inviting me. And it just shows that one person can make a difference with a little positive thought and ripple it out. And thank our troops and thank AARP and create the good for this wonderful opportunity. Have a great day. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Jacky. Thank you. And so that was Jacky Connelly, founder of the group Mrs. Jacky Soldiers. Thank you, Jacky. And as a reminder, if you want to participate in the card making event next Monday, September 21st, register at aarp.event.com/birthday wish project. All one word. That's aarp.event.com/birthday wish project.